One of the best parts of an Adventures by Disney vacation are the adventure guides. We were lucky enough to have our adventure guides, Doug and Diana, take a little time to share with us their experience as part of the Adventures by Disney family. I think you're really going to enjoy meeting them.
There are so many reasons why I wanted to be an adventure guide, but I think the biggest reason is because I remember our Disney adventures, my children and I, my husband, our family, taking Disney cruises, going to Disney World, and I just wanted to be a part of the whole Disney experience and sharing it with families. And I am absolutely thrilled and passionate about travel, and I think it changes people, and I just wanted to be a part of that, part of making memories for other families.
The reason I wanted to be an adventure guide is prior to doing this, I was an outdoor educator, and I used to take kids out on these long trips, and they would come home just totally different people. And it was a process of travel and the process of meeting new people that kind of changed them a lot. And my idea was that I wanted to find some place where I could take an entire family, not just one kid, on an experience like that, and send them home having had that experience.
The Disney Adventure Guide training is a really neat experience. It's actually over 2 weeks worth of training, because first you have to spend about a week at Disney University, and it's a wonderful week where you're taught all of the core values of the company's mission, and how you can impact a family's vacation experience through the Adventures by Disney. And then you have your first trip. You spend anywhere between 8 to 10 days shadowing seasoned veteran guides and learning about how you can do that at the destination that you're going to be working.
I was a little surprised at how long it took to become an adventure guide. When I first found the application for it, I thought I was maybe going to be guiding a trip within the first couple of months, but it's a pretty long process. You submit at first an online application. If they like that, then they'll do a phone interview with you. If you do well in the phone interview, then you get to go to an audition that's in person at either Disneyland or Disney World. And once you're done with that process, if they like you through the audition, you get invited to a training. And the training's 8 days long, takes place at Disney World. And they take you through the traditions, the Disney traditions class, take you around the park, and you get to meet some adventure guides, and they treat you the way that we treat our guests, so that you get a sense of what it's like to be on a trip. If you pass through the training portion of it, they then send you on your first trip, and usually that's going to be about 9 months after that first application that you submitted. And when you head out on that first trip, you get to shadow a couple of adventure guides on the first trip that you're going to be doing, and you get to see everything that they do backstage. You get to see how they treat the guests. You get to meet some of our guests, and through that experience, it sets you up pretty well for your first trip.
My favorite part of being an adventure guide is the relationships that you build with your guests. You're not just their adventure guide, you become their friend, and you get to be a part of these amazing experiences they have. And of those experiences, I think the best thing is when you see a guest or a family that they've always wanted to see a place, or they've always had their heart set on doing something, and when you get to see them do that for the first time, or see something for the first time, it's like a little miracle that you get to be a part of. And a lot of times, our guests do adventurous things, obviously, and so when they're doing adventurous things, sometimes they have to step out of their comfort zone, and they have to do things that kind of scare them a little or excite them. And when you see that experience happen, there's just no greater feeling to just feel like, gosh, you got to be a part of that, you got to witness it, and you had the opportunity to make it even more special for them.
My favorite part about being an adventure guide, when I first started, I thought it was going to be, oh, the travel's great and the places are wonderful that we get to visit, some amazing experiences. And even after just the first trip, it very quickly becomes evident, I think, to all adventure guides, that their favorite part about this job is working with the people that we get to. We get some really amazing families that come on these trips, and it's incredibly humbling to be invited along on a family vacation. A time that you get together as a family is so rare, and for a family to choose to come along with us and invite us along to be a part of their family for that week is just one of the greatest experiences of my life.
I think the most memorable experience I had on a Disney adventure was A couple of years ago, we had a couple, and the husband was celebrating his birthday, and it was fun. We were trying to think of what we could do to make his birthday special, and he was joking the whole week about how, you know, we as adventure guides were meeting his every need. And one time I said to him, you know, is there anything we can do for you? And he said, yeah, you got a bucket full of cash you can give me? Like, you know, we've met every other need. Could we come up with a bucket full of cash? And so that afternoon, we went to a little store in town. We picked up some play money, and we came back to the hotel and we got an ice bucket. We filled it with all the play money, and then we had it delivered to the restaurant for his birthday. And we were doing it as a joke. We thought it'd be funny and make him laugh, and it turned out to be something that touched him so much. He came out of that dinner and he just could not stop telling us how much he loved it and how we thought it was the greatest thing we'd ever done, and we were just like blown away that it touched him so much. But not realize, you know, we were just joking. But the part about it came after the trip. Is actually a couple years later. It was actually a year later, and his wife emailed me and said, sadly, that he had passed away suddenly from heart failure. And it was a total shock, but she said that she just wanted to reach out to tell us, because she said she will hold on to that memory of how happy we made him that night forever, and I will never forget that.
One of my favorite moments of being an adventure guide is just kind of learning and growing as a person myself, and through that you kind of have these experiences with guests where you learn what's really important in life. And one of my favorite experiences was in the Ecuador trips. I've done both of the different itineraries, and on each of those itineraries there's a moment on that trip where you get to interact with some of the kids that are in that country. On the Highlands and Islands trip, we would go up and we would fly kites outside of Otavalo, and all these kids would come running up every time we were there, and eventually the guests would start flying their kites with the kids, and at the end we would leave the kites with the kids as we continued our journey. And on the Amazon and Galapagos trip, we visit this women's cooperative in the middle of the jungle, and we get to hang out with these kids that are there and play a game of soccer with them. And at the end of these trips, which families have, you know, invested a lot in going to these places, and the thing that they always say they're the most excited about on those trips is visiting the Galapagos Islands and getting to see this amazing place. And at the end of the day on both of those trips, people's favorite moments are usually flying kites with kids or playing soccer with kids. And it's in those moments that you realize that the beauty of travel is kind of finding the things that you didn't really expect to find along the way. And watching people, you know, get really emotional about those experiences has been a real highlight for me as an adventure guide.
This is a mess!